working capital management. Just try to recall that we have discussed earlier that there are three important decisions that we take in financial management. One is investment decision, the other is financing decision, and the third one is dividend decisions. Investment decision, financing decisions, and dividend decisions. To which category will this unit belong to? In your opinion, this unit, working capital management, belongs to which of these three categories? Come on and answer this question. Have you understood what I asked you? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now the answer the question I asked you. We take three decisions in financial management. To which category does this unit, working capital management, belong to?
Sir, investment decision.
Investment decision. Why investment decision? Because investment decision because the firm decides how much investment is to be made in working capital. Somebody wrote that waiting since 8:42, but 52 people have joined since 8:52. Okay, let me just send. We call it investment decision because the firm wants to take a decision, that is how much money is to be invested in working capital. By now you all know the meaning of working capital. So how much money the firm needs to deposit, how much money firm needs to arrange for working capital, how much money is to be invested. Therefore this is called as this investment decision. Correct, it is the part of investment decision. Now introduction to working capital management and its relation with objective of financial management. Working capital, as you know, the term itself is self-explanatory. Working capital, the capital which is required for day-to-day functioning of a firm. What does a firm need in order to keep functioning every day? It needs some amount of cash to meet small expenses. It needs some small amount of bank balance also to make some payments. It needs some inventory so that whenever there is an order, it can supply. Just 1 second. Once again, there is a problem with somebody. It says it is processing, but there is no request pending. I'll check with somebody. So it needs some money, some inventory, some stock, so that as and when there is an order, the firm is able to execute that order. It also needs some money so that whenever it sells goods on credit, so it receives money after maybe 10, 20, 30 days. So for till such time its debtor pays back to the company, it needs some funds for that time period also. So working capital means it consists of cash balance, bank balance, debtors, bills receivables, inventories, that is stock. So these are important components of working capital. So introduction to working capital means the money which it requires the bank, the company requires for day-to-day functioning. So that is working capital. Everything put together, all current assets collectively are called as working capital. If you subtract current liabilities, then it becomes net working capital. So the meaning of working capital are clear to you. Now comes the important part, its relationship with objectives of financial management. So what is the objective of financial management? Just recall the objective of financial management, what it is. What is the objective of financial management? Post your answers immediately in the chat box. What is the objective of financial management? This is not the good way of engaging in the class. Write fast. I mean, it should not take more than 5 seconds. How long do you take to write the? Okay, fine. The answers are correct. Wealth maximization. How do you relate wealth maximization with working capital management? This part I'll explain to you. In order to maximize the wealth, firm should generate adequate profit. To generate adequate profit, either it must cut down on its cost or it must increase the revenue. In working capital management, we attempt both. I'll repeat. Wealth will be maximized if the firm makes adequate profit. More profit than its cost. More profit than its IRR. I am saying in the accounting or the finance language because we have already learned those concepts. So the wealth will be maximized when it earns more than its IRR and it maximizes its revenue and it reduces its cost. Both these aspects will be looked into while managing working capital. How will it be looked into? See, working capital management, managing cash, managing inventories, managing debtors. If the firm extends more credit for more number of days, crores and crores of rupees are held up in debtors, it will cost the company. It will borrow from bank. It will cost because money is held up with the people. And there are chances that if the money is not realized in time, they may turn into bad debt also. So managing debtors is important. It will reduce the cost and it will increase the profit. Say management of inventories. If the firm has huge inventories, more inventories than desired one, more inventory than desired level, then its money will be blocked in the inventories. The inventory can go out of fashion. It can deplete, it can depreciate. It will incur a huge cost in warehousing, its security. At the same time, if the firm keeps lesser inventory, less than desired one, so there's a possibility that it will lose an important order. Somebody wants to buy and you do not have sufficient stock. So managing optimum level of inventory is equally important. Likewise, each component of working capital is to be managed properly. It will reduce the cost and it will increase the profit, thus ultimately leading to wealth maximization, which is the objective of financial management. Just recall that in each unit, every point, every this content of the syllabus, every part of the syllabus of all 5 units can be linked to the wealth maximization concept with the example like I have given you. Therefore, working capital management is directly related to wealth maximization concept. What all shall we study in this one, that I'll explain to you subsequently. Till this stage, if there is any question, please ask. If you do not, I'll move on to the second part. What are the components of working capital? I have explained to you. We have got cash. I am writing here. If you can see the slide, you have cash, you have bank, you have stock, you have debtors. These are all components of working capital. Cash, bank, stock, debtors. So somewhere you will find creditors also. Creditors. In what way creditors are component of working capital? Can someone explain? In what way can we call creditors as component of working capital? I'll explain. Creditors are component of working capital because you need money, cash, bank balance. Your money is blocked in stock, your money is blocked in debtors. So when you buy goods and services on credit, so in a sense, your requirement of money gets reduced. You need 1 lakh rupees and somebody has given you credit for that amount. That means arrangement of fund has been made by creditors on your behalf. Therefore, one can say that creditors also form a working capital, or creditors are in a sense contribute towards a working capital. Some of you still have not mentioned your roll numbers in the chat box. Kindly write if you have not done so. So creditors this way form the part of working capital. So we have cash, we have bank balance, we have stock, we have debtors. These are all components of working capital. Now there are working capital theories. Those theories I have discussed in the next slide. I'll give you a brief reference here, then I'll move on to the next slide. This entire slide, which is slide number 1, is your overall overall syllabus of unit 2. Each has got subheads which have been subsequently discussed in the next few slides. So theories of working capital means how do you finance the project, how do you finance the working capital. A company can take an aggressive policy, a company can take a conservative policy, a company can take a middle path, etc., etc. So these are all can be termed as working capital theories. What are those? I have listed in the next slide. See, look at these serial numbers. 1 I have covered, 2 I have covered. For 3 I am moving on to the next slide. Similarly, when we come to 6, it will run into maybe at least 15-20 slides. Each slide, each heading will start with 6, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, something like that. So working capital theories I'll cover in the next slide. Aggressive approach. See, working capital can be financed by following an aggressive approach. Aggressive approach means that you borrow from the bank for a very short term period, a period for which you need money. If you need money for 90 days, you borrow for 90 days. If you need money for 30 days, you borrow money for 30 days. So you are taking an aggressive approach. You are not borrowing for a day extra. If you make certain calculations, you will come to know that even each day's borrowing costs you. If you borrow for 30 days, it may cost X. If you borrow for 40 days, it will cost you X plus. So each time you borrow more or more number of days, it costs more. So aggressive approach means you borrow exactly for days, for the number of days and the amount which you require. If you require 1000 rupees, you borrow 1000. Don't borrow 1001. So that approach is known as aggressive approach. Conservative approach, you borrow more than you required and you borrow for more number of days than required. For example, you require money for 30 days. If you borrow for 40 days, then you will have a cushion of 10 days. If somebody from whom you were expecting does not pay on the due date, so you will not go broke, you will not have difficulties because you have made arrangement for at least a 10 days cushion. You needed 1 lakh rupees, but you have borrowed 1,10,000. So you have 10,000 extra. If you follow this kind of an approach, it is called as conservative approach. You have moderate approach. Moderate approach means an approach wherein you neither follow conservative policy nor you follow aggressive policy, a middle path. If you do so, you are following a moderate approach. So these are three approaches of managing working capital or following working capital policies, either aggressive or conservative or moderate. Then we should also know on what basis do we estimate the working capital requirements, how much working capital you will need in cash, how much in bank, how much in stock, how much in debtors. It depends on some factors. I have listed here as many as 6 factors based on which the quantum of working capital, the quantity, the amount, should you have 1 crore, should you have 10 lakh, should you have 10,000, how much working capital should you require, is dependent on some of these factors. We call them as determinants. You should not be confused, which we will study later in another term known as determination. Determination of working capital is different than determinants. So what is this? It is determinant, that is the factors based on which more or less working capital is required by a firm. So what are those? Number one is nature of business. In certain industries, you require more working capital. In certain industries, you require less working capital, depending on your nature of business, the business in which a firm is, quantum or quantity or amount of working capital is needed. Can you think of some industries where more working capital is required and some industries where less working capital is required?
So companies like manufacturing industry.
Sir, automobile industry.
Automobile requires more or less?
More.
Some more.
More. Which one requires less?
So the consultancy firms and
Louder, a bit louder.
so those firms who are expertise in providing some special kind of knowledge.
In
or a
providing
special
knowledge, okay. You can say service
Yes, sir,
industry.
service. Yes.
Service. So if you look at, let us say, a bank will require less working capital because there will be nothing called as inventories. No money will be held up in inventories. Compared to automobile industry, crores and crores of rupees will be held up, will be occupied, will be used for holding the inventory in the form of cars or two-wheelers. Unless you have huge models, several models and lot of stock, you will not be in a position to meet the customers' requirements properly. Similarly, construction industry. If the people are constructing flats or malls, so huge money, crores and crores of rupees will be invested in buildings until these are finally sold. A lot of money will be involved compared to a consulting firm. Say TCS, it will not require any money in stock. It may require some money in debtors. So nature of business, and also within nature of business, although I have not mentioned here, it is a separate heading, the nature of firm, how mature or how much demand of a firm is there for its products and services. At times you will notice, you will observe that within the same industry, different firms requires different working capital because they occupy different importance in the minds of consumers. For example, Wipro, it will never sell its goods on credit. Rather, it requires 90% plus advance before it will sell. It will require 90% advance. Some other firms which are not as promising or as famous as Wipro, they may have to sell goods on credit, so they need more working capital. Wipro needs less working capital. Within, let us say, automobile industry, there are certain vehicles for which the demand is booked in advance, the products are booked in advance, they require less working capital because instead of selling on credit, they have booked it. Say within, let us say, in a cell phone industry, you go to the market if you want to buy the most recent version of Apple, so you have to pre-book. You might see several advertisements, you pre-book, you book in advance, and only then they will supply you. But if you go to any other usual mobile, be it a Samsung or Oppo or anything, that it is available in the market. If it is available in the market, means they are holding its stock. If they are holding stock, their money is blocked. If money is blocked, they are paying interest on that. If they are paying interest on money blocked, then it is increasing their cost. If cost is increasing, profit is reducing. If profit is reducing, the wealth maximization concept is not being achieved. Contrary to that, it will be wealth maximization will be achieved. So within the industry, firms vary. Within products, even the model varies. There are some model of some automobile, some model of some four-wheeler, some model of various products for which you need to wait for some time and you need to pay in advance. So nature of business, nature of firm, nature of product, these are all the one which will decide about the amount of working capital which is needed by a company. Then seasonality of operations. During a particular period, a particular industry requires more working capital. During the other period, it does not require. For example, think of those products which are sold only in a particular season. Let us say refrigerators, a fridge. So you require, or the consumers require, use of fridge, especially during summers. So in summers, there will be more sales. If more sales is there, that means you need less money. Less money will be blocked in the stock. You continue producing and you continue selling. But during winters, company will continue producing only, so that it has sufficient stock which it can sell during summers. Same is true for air conditioners. Likewise, you can think of certain products and services. Based on that, in one season, you need more working capital. In another season of the year, you need less working capital. Production policy. Some companies follow continuous policy. Some companies follows based on demand. So depending on the policy, more or less working capital will be required. Market conditions. If the market conditions are very good, the economy is improving, doing very good, moving very fast. Overall, there is a demand. Lot of people are buying and selling. There are good activities in the market. Then you need less working capital, because there will be huge turnover. Nobody will have any stock. Market activities will lead to lot of buying and selling, and overall good in the market. So you need less working capital. But if the market conditions are not good, the economy is not moving in a correct direction, there's a slum in the market, there's a depression in the market, so naturally there will be no demand for goods. When there is no demand for goods, there will be no production. Whatever has been produced will continue to lie in the stock, in the godown. So you need more money. You need more working capital. For example, in this unfortunate corona situation, huge losses people incurred also because of working capital. Money was blocked in working capital. There were no buyers. Stock was piling. Debtors were not paying. Debtors were not paying because they had no money. They had no money because they were unable to sell. So depending on the market conditions, more and less working capital may be required. Now, nature of management. If the management is a risk taker, they don't mind taking any amount of risk, then they will need less working capital. They will require whatever they need. They won't bother about the risk. And if the management is risk averse, management does not want to take any risk, they do not feel confident in accepting risk, then they will have more working capital. So depending on the nature of management, they will require more or they will require less working capital. Given a choice to management to manage an organization, which one will you require? Will you require more working capital or you will require less working capital? You will take risk or you will not take risk?
So it depends on the situation.
Not take the
You
risk.
will not take. How many of you will not take? Just write will take risk, will not take risk. Write down. Write fast and do not be guided by what people are writing. It is good that you are writing will not. Will is good. Okay, it's very good. If everybody has written, I'll speak to you. I am writing something in the chat box. Therefore, I'll be silent for a minute or two.
इसके बाद वाली में बात करेंगे. मेरी बात सुनिए. अभी पता है वैसे अभी वो सस्ता है. करने के फेरे में क्यों है? क्यों मगर अभी यहाँ से करवाने का कोई फायदा नहीं है। इतने सॉलिड पेंडेंट में आपको बिल्कुल बेकार चीज दे देगा।
Now read what I have posted in the chat box. Ask me if you have some clarification. Think of two situations, one where you took risk and the other where you avoided risk, and post your answers in the Google Classroom. I'll create an assignment. We continue now. You have understood the problem which I have mentioned. If not, I'll still be available for any clarification. Now, so I was discussing about the nature of management, then nature of country. When I say nature of country, people by default of some countries are risk taker, and people of some country are risk averse. The circumstances in certain countries are risky, and circumstances in certain countries are not risky. Businessmen, while investing in one country, will take risk, and same businessmen, while investing in another country, will avoid taking any risk. So these are some of the some of the factors based on which the amount of working capital will be needed, more or less. So these aspects we have covered. Now I'll move on to covering the other aspects.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Sure.
Sir, what type of risk you are talking about? What type of risk?
Okay. See, suppose a businessman wants to invest in USA and he has another option to invest in China. Okay, USA and China. Will he carry the same kind of analysis, or the analysis for these two countries will be different?
So, different.
Different. Take another example. In Russia and in, let us say, Saudi Arabia. Same or different?
So, different.
Different. In Pakistan and Afghanistan.
So, probably could be same.
Okay, why it could be same? See, whatever we are talking of today. Of today. Why will it be same for Pakistan and Afghanistan? Which
so
country?
Because the economy. Yes, sir.
Say go ahead.
So because of the economy they have currently.
No, perhaps see, you are right. One of the factors could be, but more important factor that would play a role in decision making will be about the stability. Given the comparison between two countries, Pakistan is a stable country compared to Afghanistan as on date. Similarly, Pakistan, let us say Sri Lanka, is still established countries compared to Iran. You never know what will be the policy of USA towards towards Iran. What will be the stability level of the Afghanistan government? This kind of stability is still more in Sri Lanka. But had this been about 10 years ago, people would have taken different risk when LTTE was in commanding position. They were very, very active. So depending on the nature of country, the kind of government, the stability, its policies, etc., the amount of risk is taken and the requirements are more or less.
So, sir, we are taking risk on these factors. On what?
Risk on the basis of political situation in the country, political stability in the country, the working environment in the country, the ease of doing business in the country, the corruption level in the country. There are hundreds of factors which decide about the business situation in any country. You will see, don't take any discussion as political one. We are purely concentrating on our financial management, within financial management, amount of working capital, and within working capital, nature of country. Even within a country, this situation differs from state to state. Given a choice of same return, the businessman would like to invest in Kashmir or in Kerala.
So, whichever suits him.
Where?
Whichever suits him, sir.
The Kerala, because it is more stable.
Kerala, because of more stability. Isn't
So
it?
if a person
The more
is
stable.
of Kashmir itself, then why would he invest in Kerala?
There are people from one state to several other states. They have invested their money. They are not merely operating in one state, and it is a sound principle of portfolio diversification. If you have entire money invested in one industry, in one firm, in one state, within that state, a particular district, if something goes wrong there, then one is on the street. If alternatively that has been diversified into 2-3 products, 2-3 districts, 2-3 states, then it is least likely that the same problem will arise in all the states, in all the districts, in all the products, in all the firms at the same time.
Jesus.
That is the logic. When they grow, they start going out from their city to district, district to states, states to country, and country to a foreign country. Within foreign country, they decide which market suits their product, which market suits their appetite of risk, and naturally accordingly the returns also. See, within India, if we talk about, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, could be something like that only, Tata offered to start 2 plants for its Nano. One was in Gujarat. What happened to that plant? And one was in West Bengal. So the plant that it had planned to start or establish in Bengal, ultimately it did not take off because of a kind of government. Then what happened? All the investments that Tata made was classified as a sunk cost. It bought some land, it made certain construction, it laid certain roads, it bought factory. What happened? That everything became a sunk cost only. All the roads that were laid from main town to villages, do you think that money can be taken back from them? The building which was constructed with a very specific intention can hardly be used by any other purpose more suitably. So depending on the nature of state, the political situation in the state, liking and disliking of the state for a particular business or for a particular businessman in the present conditions, we can say. Think of the ongoing crisis of the farmers' agitation and Adani's group investment. As per the reports, they have invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands and crores of rupees in construction of godown everywhere in different parts of the country. Now, in case the bill are reversed and they are not able to buy the farm product and store, what will happen to these? So this group of companies, Adani, they have taken a calculated risk. If this happens, we will be able to buy the proceeds from farmers and will be able to store. In case it does not happen, then what will happen to the huge godowns which are being constructed? Likewise, similarly, look at the monetization which is taking place. So somebody who is bidding knows that it will be through. If it does not, then what will happen to the investment that people are making? So likewise, there are several things which nature of country within that, it differs from state to state, and accordingly more or less amount of working capital is required.
Okay, sir.
Any other question? If not, we'll proceed. Estimation of working capital requirement. Let this part be taken after we have covered after we have covered the sixth one. This is your fourth. Let me check which is the fifth one. Fifth one is determination. Okay, this is wrongly written. This is fifth one. This is a fifth one. So this part, again, it is fifth only. This part we will cover once we have covered sixth one. It requires little understanding of the first few. Therefore, I will cover it once we have covered sixth part. 6 is quite extensive. It starts from slide 6 and it goes up to slide number 29. 34 slides are there because each runs into several this thing, management of cash and all. Recall that we had discussed that there are basically 3 components of working capital: cash, stock, and debtors. On each we shall have a detailed discussion, lengthy discussion. For example, in case of cash management, I will discuss about what is the rationale, why do we need cash, what is cash budget, how do we prepare it, and what are other considerations. There are huge things which are to be discussed in cash management. Same thing we shall discuss in inventory management. Look at this. Like management of cash, it continues management of receivables or management of debtors, you can say. All these things will be discussed in related to management of debtors or management of receivable. It is point 2 of serial number 6. Serial number 6 was in the first slide. You see serial number 6 was management of component of working capital. So 6.1 will be cash, 6.2 will be receivable, it continues. 6.3 will be, so 6.2 continues, 6.3 will be management of inventories, and then it will go like this. So let us come to management of cash. Now, what is the rationale of cash management? How much cash should a firm have? How much cash should a firm have? Naturally, it will depend on the size of firm. What cash do you and I need for our daily, requirements? For example, what cash do you require for your daily requirement will be drastically different than the cash I require for my daily, requirements. The cash I require for my daily installment will drastically be different than the cash that a senior manager or maybe a wealthy person who requires for his daily update and daily movements. Similarly, cash which a small firm requires for its daily usage will be different than what Tata requires, isn't it? So means somebody will require more cash, somebody will require less cash, and if you require more or less, because it is a component of working capital, it will increase your working capital or it will decrease your amount of working capital. Any increase or decrease in working capital will change the cost. Any change in cost will affect your wealth maximization because it will affect your profit also. So that is what the rationale is. For example, you may require, let us say, on an average 50 to 100 rupees per day. You go out, take a cup of tea or coffee, you go with your friends sometimes, take some tea, coffee or some snacks and all, you pay 100, 200, 300 rupees, and that too you don't do daily. So on an average you may require, even if you require 3000 rupees your pocket expenses, then you may require 100 rupees per day. You may require weekly filling up your bike. So your daily requirement could be 100, 200, 300 rupees. That's all. My daily requirements naturally will be more. I need to manage a family. So depending on the person, depending on the firm, depending on the size, requirements will vary. So that is the rationale. And why is it so? Because it is directly affecting your wealth maximization. Ordinarily, a firm needs cash for 3 basic motives. One is transaction. That is, you need to buy something, you need to pay something, you need to indulge into certain transactions. So you need cash for transaction motives. Sometimes people also need cash for speculative purpose. Speculative purposes means whenever you think that the price of some commodity are rising, you immediately buy. When the prices increase, you immediately sell. That is other than your routine business. Other than your routine business, so people also, individuals as well as firms, also need cash for speculation motives or speculation needs. And mostly it falls into these two categories: transactions and precaution. You need some cash. You never know what may happen. You may need some cash in emergency, some exigency, some problem. So you need cash. When I say cash, it includes bank also. So you need cash for precaution purposes also. For that, what do? We need to prepare a cash budget. Preparation of a cash budget is an important exercise which takes place in every firm, irrespective of its size. We individuals also prepare a cash budget, but we do not prepare it on a piece of paper or in an Excel worksheet. We prepare it in our mind. Taking you as an example, you prepare that you will receive so much of money every month from your parents. You know at times your friend has borrowed and he will pay on so and so date. So you may need more money from your parents either in the same month or maybe next month, because you will receive back your money from your friends after 2 months. So what you are doing, you are estimating, I used to get 10,000 rupees, of which 2,000 I have given loan. He will return in the next month. So next month you will not require 10, you will require 8, because 2 you will get from your friend. So you are making all these calculations in your mind. Similarly, there can be some more transactions. At times you postpone buying a petrol because you think that you can manage with the available petrol and you will get your tank full only in the next month when money arrives from your home. So you are preparing a cash budget. In case of a company, it is a very, very comprehensive and a tedious exercise. Why is it comprehensive and tedious exercise? This will be explained to you in the subsequent slide. The steps that we take is that we estimate inflows over a period of at least 6 months. Some people do it for a year, some people for 9 months, some 8 months. On an average, people prepare budget for a period of 6 months. So we estimate inflows. Estimate inflows means we write down all the possible means, all the possible sources from which cash would be available to the company in a particular month. Can you think of the sources in which cash will be available to the company in a particular month? What could be the sources from which cash will be available to the company in particular month?
So sales.
One very true, sales. You can say cash sales. Cash sales. Next. You are right. One is cash sales. What is the second source?
The sale of fixed assets.
Sale of
Fixed assets.
okay, sales of fixed assets, but it is an unusual transactions. You are right. It can be written also if it is available. If the company expect that it will be selling an asset in a particular month, you can certainly include, but it is an exceptional transactions. What are the routine transactions?
So receiving money from debtors.
Yes, receiving money from debtors. Let me add it, because when it sells to somebody on a standard basis, let us say 1 month credit, but at times the entire money does not come through. Maybe 80% of the people have paid. Out of the remaining 20%, 15% will pay after 2 months, 5% may pay after 3 months. So it will make all those arrangements cash sales. Number 2, money realized from debtors which was 1 month old. Money realized from debtors which was a 2 months old. Money realized from debtors which was 3 months old, something like that. Okay. Then what else? These are, this is, for example, these are routine inflows. If the company has made certain investment somewhere and it expects to receive a dividend from the company wherein it has invested, that income from dividend. If the company had given loan to its employees or given loan to some other companies and it expects the monthly installment refund of its loan or return of the loan given to the companies, then it can make a provision for this also. We will receive money by way of return of loan. implies bill return of loan, and likewise there can be several heads from which company can estimates that it will be inflows. Okay, what will be the outflows? First and foremost outflow will be, if it is a manufacturing company, cash purchases of the raw material. Then, purchases, payment to be made to the creditors which are due for 1 month or 45 days. Then payment for wages, then payment for rent, payment for electricity, payment for office expenses, payment for this, whatever payment company has to make in a month, in a particular month, company will estimate those outflows also. This is the very simple way I am explaining. In calculation, in real life, it will be quite complicated, but it will be easy when we use Excel worksheet, and I'll explain to you in the subsequent slide. So inflows we have estimated, outflows we have estimated. What will be the third one? We will calculate the difference between the two, A minus B. When we have 6.1.3 minus A, from A, B minus 6.1.3B. From inflow, we subtract inflows. The result will either be surplus or it will be deficit. Suppose the total money that you expected in a month was 1 lakh, 1000 lakh or something, and your outflows were 900. So what you will have? You will have a surplus of 100. Now when you have surplus of 100, you don't stop here. You also have made up your mind that this is your minimum cash balance requirement. At any point in time, let us say you should have 20, let us say these figures are in crores. So your history dictates you that at each point in time you should have 25 crores of rupees worth cash balance every time, cash or bank balance, and you have 100 crore balance. Then what do? Next step, planning for investing surplus or financing deficit. If you have excess cash in a particular month than your minimum requirements, then the wisdom demands, then this money should be invested. You thought that there should be 25 crore rupees average balance we should maintain, but you have 100 crores. So you should not be sitting idle with 75 crores. It should be invested. For how many days? Your budget will tell you. Suppose you have deficit after 5 months. So you can invest it for 5 months so that you earn some interest or some return on that. So planning for investing the surplus funds. And suppose this figure is negative, then you plan how to finance the deficit, how to arrange. Because if you know in advance that after 2 months you will need money, you can start borrowing procedure today so that you won't borrow in a hurry and end up paying more cost. You have sufficient time to plan and to explore the sources which will be very much cost effective. Same thing holds good for your surplus. You know that in a particular month we will have enough of money in excess. You may think of buying something, investing something. You have enough of time to plan. So if you know in advance, so it will be easy to invest the surplus amount. It will also be easy to plan for financing the deficit if you have. These are the steps, actual calculations I have explained to you in the subsequent slide that we shall take up tomorrow. You will have your class tomorrow because day after tomorrow is a national holiday. Therefore, we will not conduct the class on Saturday. Instead, we will have a class on a Sunday. So if you have not mentioned your roll number in the chat box, do mention it, and we'll continue our class tomorrow at 8:50 or 40. What was the time mentioned?
Sir, the time mentioned was 8:50, sir. But sir, tomorrow is Friday.
So do you think we will be able to cover? So Friday, should we start at 8:40?
Yes, sir. We can.
I'm posting it in the chat box. You just remember it. Tomorrow's class will begin at 8:40, na? 8:40, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am just posting it. Tomorrow's class will begin at 8:40. If you have not written your roll number, you can write it. And if you have already written your roll numbers, then perhaps you can leave the meeting.